Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I'm an addict. And my recovery sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And today, what we're going to do on the channel is we are going to just do some makeup and chill. So, the other day I had said something about coming on and just doing my makeup and chit-chatting with you guys. As you can see, yesterday I did not put on any makeup. I just did my skincare for the day, and I chilled and I watched this. I watched The Innocence Project all day yesterday. So, if you haven't already watched this show on Netflix, you guys, you've got to watch it. They did? Awesome, Merk. Awesome. So, The Innocence Project it was really good, you guys. Really good. Oh, thanks, JT. You know, I sometimes this is what I tell everybody. We can put makeup on because it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? It makes me feel like I'm getting my life together for the day. Because most of the time, I don't put on any makeup and I'm just chilling around the house. I still got my pajamas on, y'all. I took a shower, blew dry my hair, and put some pajama pants on and a tie-dye t-shirt because that's how I'm living in quarantine. I don't know about you guys, but I am living in t-shirts and pajama pants. So, my mom is working on, she's making me and Neil and Nate some masks. She made Nate a Spider-Man one. I'm sure mine will be tie-dyed. And I don't know what Neil's will be. So that way, when we go out to the stores and stuff, we can go and wear our masks, so we'll be safe. Although I don't know how safe it really is to wear a mask. I really don't know unless you're not touching your face or anything like that. Like, I think we have to be really careful, you know, to not touch our faces, because if you're touching your face, then you're just totally, the whole point of it is out the window. Rob, I can relate. With having a young boy in the house, let me just tell you some of the things, y'all, that happen around here. Nathaniel's 5. Sometimes I will walk around the house and I'll look and I'll be like, I'll have my hand on the wall, maybe in the bathroom or something, and I'll feel something on the wall. And I'll go over and look at it, and it's a crusted booger hardened to the wall. So then I have to get it off and scrape it off and bleach wipe that corner, right? That's one of the things that's happened lately. Finding boogers underneath the countertop table where he wipes it underneath there. Let me think, what else does he do? Oh, how about this one? Every time I sit on the toilet, if I don't wipe the toilet before I sit down, guess what's going to happen? I sit in a puddle of pee. I sit in urine on my ass. So boys will be boys. Boys are nasty as hell. And y'all know me, I'm constantly saying, Nate, come on. Make sure you pick up after yourself. Thanks, JT. Make sure you pick up after yourself. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you don't do this. And does he listen? No. So I will tell you guys something that I did when I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, my mom and dad had a dog they called him Bam Bam. Bam Bam was a little gray Lhasa Apso. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a Lhasa Apso, but they're so cute. They're little fur balls, okay? So my parents had a dog named Bam Bam. They bought him when I was born in 1982. When I was 5. So they had him for a couple of years before I was born. I think, or they might have, I don't know. Anyways, he was the same age as me almost, the dog. So I was potty training, we had the dog, and the dog was such a good dog. And for some reason, my mom kept finding poop in the corners of the house. Like she would go over by the TV because she would smell this poop smell. And my mom was like, what is going on? I don't like the way that lip gloss feels. She was like, what is going on? Why am I finding piles of poop everywhere, right? And so she kept on spanking the dog. She would roll up a piece of newspaper and spank the dog. Well, one day she caught me in the act with my pants down, pooping in the corner. And she told me that story when I got older. This whole time she's been spanking Bam Bam, thinking it was Bam Bam that was pooping in the corner of the house everywhere. She said, I mean, Nicole, you were hiding everywhere, poop, dropping deuces. Oh, poor dog. I know, right? That's a true story, y'all. That is a true story from when I was a little girl. Me and my sisters, when we were growing up, we were so nasty, y'all. We would take our pants off, our panties off, and chase each other around the house with them. I don't know why. Like we did stuff like that, but it was just like we thought it was the funniest thing because my mom would always speak some Spanish to us. So she would always call our underwear, our panties, chonies. Get your dirty chonies and put them in the dirty hamper. And so, just stuff like that. Well, me and my sisters thought it would be funny to take our chonies and stick them on each other's heads and call each other chony heads. Did Kenny do that? Nicole, oh my God. Oh, hold on, y'all. My mom's calling. Hey, Mom, what's up? No, I'm doing my makeup on a live stream. I'll call you when I'm done. Okay. Oh, Dad's message? About what? About needing treatment. You have to read your voice. No, I didn't. You needing treatment for what? Drug addiction. I'm going to go off the deep end. Shut up. Okay, I love you. I love you. I'll call you when I'm done. All right. Bye. My mom is hilarious. So my voicemail, you guys, when you call my real phone number, it says, hey, you've reached Nicole Pludre with Real Talk Recovery. If you're calling because you're looking for treatment, text me right away and I'll call you right back. Or leave me a message with your name and your number and a brief message at the sound of the beep and I'll call you right back. Something like that. And so my mom said she called and left a message saying she was going off the deep end and she needed treatment. Silly lady. She's so silly. She's crazy. So anyway, that's just this little crazy story from when I was a little kid. I think back to when I was younger, and how they tell us that, or I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but a lot of times addiction runs in our families, right? Like maybe maybe our family members were addicts and it kind of just like, I don't know if we're predisposed. I don't know if you're like, I don't know how to explain it, but I was trying to think back to when I was a kid about, was there anything that happened to me that I felt like kind of pushed me in that direction, that's why I decided to pick up drugs and alcohol. And like, if I'm being completely honest, like just putting it out there, right? Like I always do, but like right now we're talking about this. If I had to reflect back on my childhood and pick and say if there was a time where, there was a reason, like maybe something horrible happened, nothing. I had such a good childhood, you guys. Like my mom and dad took such good care of me and my sisters. Now, were we like the best family as far as like I couldn't talk to my dad about anything, all right? How many of you guys have an Italian dad and you can't really talk to him about anything because when you do try to talk to him about it, he gets really emotional and really worried and really upset. So instead of talking to your dad, you just don't talk to him at all about it, right? That's how my dad is, okay? And then my mom, on the other hand, is like super understanding, like just like really tries to help with anything she can. Like I could sit down and I could tell my mom anything, Now, when I was growing up, did I feel like I could tell my mom everything? I don't know if I felt like that because I think I felt comfortable to talk to her about some things. But because of how religious my mom was bringing us up in the Pentecostal church and everything, I was afraid to tell my mom, that I was afraid to tell my mom that I was, using drugs. And honestly, at that time, you guys, I don't know if I wanted to tell her. I think I was enjoying myself, I hear some people's stories. Like there was this guy I had on my channel. His name is Andrew. I don't know if y'all have watched that interview, but it was one of the first interviews I ever did. Okay. And Andrew's story was so sad because he was molested by his parent, okay, by his family. And so this guy like really struggled for years after that. And so when I hear people's stories, right? Paul, and listen, I'm not saying that my dad wasn't a great dad, but like he's very emotion driven. Your dad, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You know how like he has the biggest heart. He wants to help any way he can. But if I was to go to my dad and say, Dad, I'm getting high on crack cocaine, or Dad, I'm shooting methamphetamine, my dad's response to that would be, just quit, just quit. Like he would automatically start worrying. He would automatically freak out. And so I can remember not feeling like I could talk to him, But now that I'm sober, we talk about that kind of stuff all the time. My dad doesn't like reflecting on that time because he feels like he was helpless. He feels like he failed me, and it wasn't his fault at all. I think about that a lot because everything my mom and dad taught me was to be a good person, was to make sure that I never hurt or harmed people, to be honest, to be loving, to love God and myself, and they didn't teach me, you know, to do any of the things that I did, Um, I wish I could go back to those times sometimes and do it all over again. Because I wish I could, you know, do better and make my parents proud. I know they're proud of me now, but it was a long time coming. I don't mean to get emotional about it, but that's probably one of the things that bothers me the most is that my parents were such good parents. I don't have an excuse. Like, I can't get on here and say, you know, I was hurt and molested as a child or any of those things. The only thing I can say is that when I hit a certain age in my life, oh gosh, I have crying all down my eyes now. Let's stop crying, Nicole. When I hit a certain age in my life, I wanted so badly to fit in with everybody. Like, I remember that. I remember wanting to hang out with certain people that they were rich. These girls that I wanted to hang out with that went to our school, their parents were rich, right? And in the little country town I lived in, like, it's not a little town anymore, but it was little back then. My family we were not rich. We were middle class family. My parents work really hard. My dad worked for the postal service, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. Sorry, I just cried off all that concealer. Go figure. And so growing up, we were like a middle class family, and I remember just like feeling like I didn't fit in with anybody at my school, feeling like all these people were so much better than me. And I don't know why, because my parents didn't raise me to have low self-confidence or anything. But for some reason, like, I'm really thinking about this right now, you guys. For some reason, when I was a little girl, I felt so insecure. I felt like I wasn't beautiful. I felt like nobody liked me. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I just really, really struggled with not feeling like I was anything that was. I just felt like I wasn't good enough. Really, really hard. And so when I first started hanging out with people that were using drugs, and I saw how much fun they were having when they were using, I wanted to do that. I wanted to get high, and I wanted to feel that feeling that they were feeling. I wanted to fit in with all of them. Do you know what I mean? And at the time, I was dating a guy. We kind of left off at this point when I was telling my story to you guys the other day. I was dating that guy, Robert, and we got to using, but that wasn't when it got real heavy. That's kind of how it all started out, right? So we left off, and I was staying in the hotel room, remember? Or the one bedroom efficiency. So let's pick up there. Okay. And y'all come on in. I'm just starting where we left off the other day with the story. Okay, so I was staying in the one bedroom efficiency with the roaches and the rats and all that stuff. Do y'all remember? Tell me you remember so we can move forward. Who remembers the roaches and the rats? Oh man, I'm so sorry, Paul. I am so sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I really am not. I hope you guys don't think that. We love you, okay? And listen, I can't imagine what it would be like to lose my dad, because I cry so much just thinking about how I want to be a better daughter for him. So I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine what it would be like without my dad in my life. I don't even want to think about that. Like, that makes me, just thinking about it makes me want to be emotional, So anyway, moving forward. Okay, me and LD, the guy that I had been dating, the one that I didn't know he was going to be abusive, but I had told you guys that he was. So at this time, when we first started dating, I had just really started tapping into methamphetamine, to Xanax, to opiates. Like, I was really getting on drugs hard, because I had graduated high school and I was on my own. So I was living with my mom and dad at the time, and then I met LD and we moved into my car. Remember? We were living in my car for a little bit. That didn't work out very well, because y'all know I can't live in a car. I got to have a shower. I got to have a bath. So I had gotten a job at the revenue office, and I just left Shoe Carnival, and I told you guys about that, how I was selling shoes at the Shoe Carnival and all that crazy stuff. And I told you about the time I got fired from JCPenney. All right. So told y'all all that. Now, when I met LD, this was so many years ago, you guys. This was in 2001, okay? 2001 is the year that this is. Well, that's when I met LD, and we started dating, and we moved into a house, or into that place. So we moved into that one-bedroom efficiency, and it was horrible. It was horrible. The roaches would sing at night. It was like Joe's apartment. I mean, if I got a pizza or something and I was trying to eat it, I'd be like, hey, Jose, bring me a slice of pizza. And all the roaches would bring that piece of pizza over to me. That's how bad this place was. Every night when I would go to sleep, I would hear women screaming. I mean, it was a scary place to live, you guys. It was a scary place to live. But when you're doing meth and you're staying up all night long, like, you're not scared. I wasn't scared of anything as long as I had LD there with me. So I told you all about that. My mom and dad came over to see where we were living, and they could not believe their eyes. My mom lost her mind. Right then, my dad freaked out, and they were like, we cannot let you live here. Like, we just can't let this happen anymore. Like, we're going to help you find a place to live, okay? Oh, Chicago Dave. It was bad, man. And it was like one of those situations where it wasn't like I could get rid of them, because we moved into that building and the whole building was infested. So I lived with them. I lived with these roaches, y'all. There was a bug on my man's shoulder while we were getting it on, okay? A huge roach this big with little tentacles looking at me like, yeah, girl, get it. I will never forget. I told that story so many times. Y'all are probably sick of it, but it was the truth, okay? That roach was so big, okay? Oh my God, Dave. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, man. You guys, I am so sorry for all of you guys that have lost your dads. No matter how you lost him, I'm so sorry. So, sorry. Okay, let's keep on going. I don't want to get distracted, because then y'all know what will happen. So, mom and dad came over. They saw the place that we were living in. They freaked out. And my mom and dad already did not like LD, you guys. They did not like him at all. So we were just like, I was holding on to a thread trying to get them to like him. So they helped us find a trailer. It was a cute little trailer, you guys, little blue trailer. We got a couch and a recliner and a nice bed. And yeah, so we moved in, and it was great. I was working at the revenue office, and I was working at the Sonic down the street and a gas station. So I had 3 jobs, okay? This is important for you guys to understand. I would work as many jobs as I had to work to be able to fund me and his drug habit. Okay, I was dedicated to making sure I could get high every single day. Every day I worked. Every day I went into my job and I was high. Some days were worse than others, but it was what it was. One day I went into my job at the revenue office, and it was a really busy time, you guys. Hey, Captain Crunch, just telling story times about my life. At this time, it was a busy time of the year because it was sales tax time. People were buying new cars. I think it was after the first of the year or something. People were buying new cars. They were coming in, paying their sales tax. It was assessment time where you have to pay your taxes on your property tax. And so it was busy, and I had a line of people out the door for driver's license and IDs. And that was what I did. That was my specialty, was driver's licenses and IDs. So, and it was because I was fast. I was fast and efficient, so they put me on the express line. I was working it, y'all. Well, this lady comes in and she was freaking out. She was freaking out. She did not like me from the very minute she stepped in that revenue office. And so I was telling her that she needed a marriage license and proof of identification to change her name on her ID, right? On her driver's license. And she was pissed because she had to go back and get her birth certificate and her marriage license or something like that, right? And so I was like, you know, ma'am, it's not my fault. I don't make the rules. I just have to make sure that I do that because if I don't, I can lose my job. Well, she got pissed and she tried to jump across the counter and pull me over the counter to beat my ass. Okay. In the middle of the revenue office, noon, it was like lunchtime. Everybody saw it. I was pissed. I freaked out. I was so mad. I was telling her to get the hell off me before I whooped her damn ass. And my boss was telling me I can't say that because I can lose my job. So and after this lady pulled me, she was touching me. I didn't touch her first. And so I was upset, you know. Well, I was real upset. I was trying to calm down. My boss came over and she said, listen, I'm going to give you a Xanax. Okay. And I was like, I had never taken Xanax, you guys. Okay. I think this was my first time to take a benzo. I had taken hydros and, phentermine, and I had done meth and I had done cocaine, but I had never really fucked around with Xanaxes or any kind of like sedative, right? And so when she gave me that, ooh, that nose is pink. When she gave me that pink Xanax, it was like my world just got so much better. I felt amazing. I felt like I could do all the work. Nobody had to worry about a thing because I was going to handle it, right? I was going to handle that work. Everybody else could relax. Nicole's in charge. Okay? That's how I feel when I'm on Xanax. And so I was like, wow, that's just like the most amazing. Where do you get that from? Like, whoa, that's good stuff. And my boss was like, oh, well, I'm prescribed Xanax and I'm prescribed Dilaudid and I'm prescribed Oxycontin and I'm prescribed morphine. My boss was a cancer patient, you guys, and she worked up until the day she died. And so she was I'm telling you, this lady didn't stop. She would work nonstop. And so that right there was like a moment where I thought, holy shit, I could literally go in her purse right now and take all these pills, right? I mean, she showed them to me. She pulled out all the bottles in her back office and showed me all these bottles. And I was just like, for me, for an addict like me, I was like, holy shit. Well, for some reason, you guys, I had so much respect for this lady. I think it was because she took me underneath her wing and she would do anything to help me. I mean, if I had a problem and I needed to leave LD's house, I could come stay the night with her. She was like my mama. She was like my mama at the revenue office. And so I'm happy to report to you guys that I never stole any pills from her purse, ever. I would not do it. For some reason, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have been there where there's just one person that you will not do that, right? It doesn't matter how bad in your addiction you are, you just don't. Well, I didn't. I always was able to get my own, and she knew that I was struggling with my addiction. She knew because I would come in some days and I would be nodding out behind my computer, and then I would come in other days and I would be super, super high on meth, right? And I would just be zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, And so they didn't know how to gauge me. Their thing was, as long as she does her job and she's not bothering nobody, we don't mind if she comes in late. Just as long as she's not looking crazy, I could work. So I did. So I worked and everything was fine. Well, I thought everything was going to be fine. Little did I know that my addiction to benzos was going to get out of control. So I had this bright idea. I can't sit there and ask my boss for Xanax every single day. I'm going to go get my own prescription. For those of you guys that didn't watch my video yet about benzodiazepines, I tell this story in my video that I put out about benzos. I went to the doctor, my family doctor, and I told him about my symptoms and that I was struggling with anxiety and depression, and he put me on Xanax. He gave me a prescription right then and there. This was back in the day in 2001 when you could go to the doctor and they would write you a prescription for opiates, or they would write you a prescription for benzos. It was not like it is now. Now you could never do that, right? This was back in the day when we were still going to different states, you guys, like Florida, Tennessee, to get pills from different doctors. Like we were doctor shopping. We would make trips to different states to buy ephedrine to make meth back in 97, 95. I was riding to different states with different dope cooks. Not 97, 98, 99-ish, probably. Yeah, about that. Riding around with dope cooks to go get ephedrine, so that way we could cook dope. I mean, this was back in the dizzy, okay? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Those of you guys who used to get high back in the dizzy, y'all know what I'm talking about. So back then you could just go to the doctor and get a script. So I got that script, and boy, did I love the feeling that Xanax gave me, you guys. For some reason, when I'm on a Xanax, they make me feel like nothing. They make me feel like I am untouchable. They make me feel like, this is how I described it to the other day. Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata means no worries for the rest of your days. It's a problem-free philosophy. I need me a Xanax. I need me a Xanax. I need me a Xanax. Anyway, that's how they made me feel. I loved those motherfuckers. And I would take them. What happened as soon as I got that prescription, you guys, I started being able to manipulate, the prescription and overtake the medication. I would take 2 or 3 at a time, and that would feel good. And then I realized, hold on a second. Hey, Paul Cook, what's up? I need me another Xanax. And so I just kept upping it and upping it and upping it and upping it until I was taking multiple bars a day. And I would be out of my mind, okay? I thought that I was functioning well, right? But I'm telling you guys, I wasn't. I know now that I was off my rocker. So me and LD, our relationship is just getting more and more toxic, more and more dependent on each other for drugs, right? More and more verbally and emotionally abusive. And then one day something changed. One day he hit me. One day he punched me in my face and gave me a black eye. And I had to go to work like that. I had to go to work and try to tell everybody that the reason I had this black eye was because I fell in the middle of the night. And I've told this story so many times that I told the story of me falling in the middle of the night so many times and lied about it so many times that it's almost what I believe now, because I have told the story so many times when I was trying to cover for him. Okay. And so, damn, that was, y'all, if you are in an abusive relationship and somebody is hitting you, get out, leave as fast as you can. Do not stay in that relationship, because you don't deserve to be treated like that. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, you guys. We're better than that, and I wish that I had been strong enough, and I wish I had loved myself enough to get up and run away, but I didn't. I was too scared. I was too scared. I didn't think that, I thought if I left him that nobody would ever want me and that I was not going to find me another boyfriend. And see, I didn't have enough respect for myself, and I didn't hold myself on a high enough standard to think, you know what? You don't even need a boyfriend, girl. You don't need that. You can live your life happy, joyous, and free without a man. But, you know, when you're a woman and you've got low self-esteem, it's like a recipe for disaster, you guys. A guy can come in. Sorry. When you're a woman and you have low self-esteem, a guy can come in and do and say whatever they want, and you're going to listen to it. Or at least that was my experience. Okay, that was my experience. And like I said, this all goes back to me being a young girl who had low self-esteem. Okay. So if you're young or if you're a girl, right, you are beautiful and nobody should ever put their hands on you, ever. And if you're in a relationship where somebody is hurting you and you think, I'll stay, maybe they'll change, I'm here to tell you that you better get your ass out of that relationship. You better run as fast as your legs will take you if you want to leave alive. Because if I stayed with this man for over 6 years, okay, and he hurt me so bad that by the time he left me and I was all alone, I was sad that he left me because I thought that's all I deserved. I had been brainwashed that that was as good as I could do. The best I could do was get me a man that beat my ass every day. The best I could do was get me a guy that slapped the shit out of me in front of people. The best I could do was get somebody who shoved food in my face, in my eyeball. The best I could do was get somebody who busted my head open and I had to go to the hospital and get stitches because there was blood just pouring out of my head. You know, that's what I thought I deserved. So anyway, I stayed with him and our relationship got more and more toxic. He moved his family in with us. His dad ended up moving in with us because his dad was in California at the beginning of our relationship. At the beginning of our relationship, his dad was in California. His dad came back to Arkansas, had nowhere to live. Guess who he comes to live with? Us. Okay? Now, there was a story. My mom said something to me many years ago, and she said, Nicole, when you get into a relationship with somebody, you need to make sure that you two are equally yoked. Have y'all ever heard of this saying? You need to make sure that you both are equally yoked. What that means is that you have things in common, that you have a common upbringing, okay? The way this guy was brought up was this. His mom was a prostitute that his dad got pregnant 3 different times. So he was the oldest, and then he had a little sister and a little brother. All right? When they were growing up, their mom and dad locked them in the closet and fed them hot dogs underneath the closet while they were smoking crack and doing crystal methamphetamine. Okay? So they had no upbringing. They had no family that took care of them. Their dad, bless his heart, was mentally ill. And so that woman that was a prostitute that he got pregnant, she just really ended up taking advantage of him for his check because he would get a check every month, okay? And so that was the life that this guy had growing up. Now, the way they ended up getting away from that situation was one day their dad locked him in the closet. The mom locked them in the closet and left them there. And the boy got a shopping cart after he broke out of the closet and moved it over to the window to break them out. and broke them out of that house. And they ended up getting put in foster care. Okay? They ended up putting him in foster care. And then what happened was LD's dad ended up kidnapping them from foster care and brought them back to Arkansas and raised them. Okay, so that's what happened. And they've been back here in Arkansas ever since. They aged out of the system and blah, blah, blah. Now their dad had passed away. Now Mario, his name was Mario. He ended up passing away. He was not a bad man. He was just crazy as all get out. Okay, he was just not, he wasn't somebody that needed to be raising children. Okay, all right. And so LD became an abusive person because he saw his dad being abusive. Okay, he saw his dad knocking him around and fighting and drinking and doing alcohol. So just like the way he was raised was the way he became. Now, does that give him a right to hit me? No, but when I'm not making excuses for him either. But I'm just trying to explain to you guys that, like, I was with somebody I had no business being with. This guy and me were not compatible. Okay, I came from a good family, you know, with parents who loved me. And I had this syndrome where I thought I could save everybody. Okay. And so when I would meet a guy like LD who was struggling and in need, I wanted to fix them. I wanted to take him under my wing and fix him. So that's what I did. I took him under my wing. I got him off probation. I paid his fines and fees and all this. Okay, I did everything. I did everything. So this guy could be free from his probation. And I helped keep him out of trouble for 6 years, you guys. When he finally left me, he left me. I woke up one day and he was gone. He took all my jewelry, everything that was of value, he took it and he left. Okay. When he finally left me, ooh, that looks pretty. When he finally left me, I was so sad. I thought, I'm never going to find anybody that loved me like he did. Delusional. And I felt like that. I really believed that he loved me, even though he was hitting me and beating me. Okay, I thought that that was love. So he left, and I still wanted to be back with him, you guys. Okay, I would see him around town, and I would cry. I would see him at other people's houses that we both used drugs at, and I would cry. And he didn't want anything to do with me. He was acting like I was this piece of shit, right? When in actuality, I should have been the one who was responding like that. But I didn't, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm such a caring, loving person. Like I was willing to do anything to help that dude. All right. So anyway, now that I've left him, I have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to live because what happened, I left. I took everything out of that trailer, you guys, and I left. I said, ski, see y'all later. I'm out of here. And so I left and I did not look back. But I decided that I was going to move in with my friend, Nicole. Okay. Nicole and her boyfriend, Jeremy. Jeremy ended up dying of a drug overdose. But me, Nicole, and Jeremy decided we were going to rent this nice place off the lake. And I had jobs at the time, so I could, pay for the rent. I was paying rent, doing real good. And then I lost my job at the revenue office. Now, I don't tell this story on my channel a lot because there's a troll that tried to get me arrested by the FBI. And so I don't really talk about this on my channel, but we'll just say that some shit went down at the revenue office and I ended up getting fired. And I left that job, and it is what it is. So I left that job, and I still had my job at Sonic and the gas station. So, it wasn't all bad. I still had my job at Sonic and the gas station, so I could still make it a little bit of money. Well, I went into Sonic one day high on methadone wafers, and I was making extra long cheese conies for an order, and I nodded out in the chili. I nodded out with my hands beside me in a bucket of chili while I was trying to serve and make these damn hot dogs, these chili, extra long chili cheese corn dogs or chili cheese dogs. Hey, Bow, what's up? Hey, Captain. That's okay. Y'all listen up. So I got in trouble. I was in the Sonic and I got in big trouble. My boss found me over there nodding out, holding the chili. And he was like, Nicole, what is going on? And they had already been suspecting me of doing some stuff because me and my friend Jerry were selling Xanaxes and buying Xanaxes through the drive-through window and meeting people out in the parking lot and all kinds of felonious fucking, criminal ass shit. And so they fired me. They said, girl, you got to go. We can't have you on this lot. You're a liability. And so they canned me. And so now I don't have a job. All I have is my like 2 or 3 days a week job at the gas station. And so at this time was when I hit bottom. I hit a bottom and I called my mom and dad and I said, hey, I need to go to treatment. And so my mom helped me find a place to go to treatment, you guys. And I ended up going to my first treatment center called Quapaw House Incorporated. For those of you guys that know or have seen my friend that watches my channel, her name is Missa. She has an account on here, Missa Ray Bell. She and I, that's where we met. We were in treatment together. So I was ready to go to treatment, you guys. I was like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to change my life. Like I'm ruining my life. And I just lost 2 jobs in less than a month. And so I was really upset. I was just so down on myself. I was so depressed. I was doing so much crack. I was smoking crack all night long with different guys at different places. I had this guy, they called him Goo, that I would go and we would stay up all night driving up and down the road smoking crack. Then I found my other friend that lived in the cultural campus and I would stay at his house and smoke crack all night long. And it was just like, I was just going downhill, you guys. I was so depressed. And so I was just like, you know what? This is it. I've got it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go into treatment. So my mom got me into this treatment center called Quapaw House. And I went and it was a nice treatment center. Let me say that, okay? It was a nice treatment center. We had rooms with one other person. So we had little twin beds, okay? It was all based on the 12 steps, okay? And the teacher or the counselor there was this lady named Miss Edith. And Miss Edith she was a black lady, Miss Edith Reedy. And she was a black lady and she was such a she was so passionate about helping people. She was the first person that I ever seen that had passion when she talked about staying sober. And I was like, you know what? That's what's up. I want to do that. I want to be able to share my story when I get sober one day. That was what I was thinking, you know? So I went into detox for a couple days because I had to come off those damn benzos. And then I went into the regular, rehab, the general population with everybody. And I was getting to know everybody. And that's where I met Missa and Scott. So Scott and me became best friends. He was this gay guy, and we got assigned to do the chore in the treatment center. We were in the kitchen. Now, one thing y'all are going to hear in my story is that I always got put in the kitchen. They always had me cooking as my chore whenever I would go to treatment. Every treatment center I've ever been in, I was in the kitchen cooking. And so me and Scott was in there. We did breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they would let us listen to this little walk talk radio. It was like a little radio that you could set up, right? And so we would put on the CD Madonna and we would Vogue every morning when we woke up at 5 o'clock to do breakfast. We would be in there voguing. And I just loved this guy. I just loved him so much. We became so close, you guys. So close. And I'll never forget him, and I miss him to this day because he was one of the only really true blue friends that wrote me while I was locked up in prison. So we had a good time while we were in treatment. We did all of our treatment together, and it was fun. I learned about recovery, and I made friends that I still talk to this day. And like I was saying, me and Missa have rekindled our friendship from back then because she found me here on YouTube. One day I uploaded a video, you guys, about Mama June, and I got a comment on the video, and it was a girl saying, "Nicole DeMeo, is that you?" And I was like, oh shit, somebody knows me. And then she said she knew me from Quapaw House. And I was like, yeah, girl, it's me. And she, right then, it was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. Then when I went on Death's channel, some more people that I, used to hang out with saw me over there on Death's channel. You guys, every single story that I tell you is like, this is like what I did in my life. And so, like, it just was awesome for people that knew that and had heard my stories or had been through them with me to kind of say, yeah, this is what's up. Like, they validated, because I feel like sometimes people might think Nicole couldn't have done that. She just doesn't seem like the person who would do something like that. I'm telling you guys, when I was in my addiction, I was a hot mess express. So anyways, me and Scott made it through treatment. Aston was there a little bit longer, or Missa was there a little bit longer than we were. Her real name's Aston. Missa was there a little bit longer than we were, and we graduated out of treatment, and I decided to stay in Hot Springs at my mom and dad's house because I was really wanting to try to get sober. So I went ahead and I got me a sponsor. Okay, this was my first sponsor. Her name was Candace. Okay, and you'll hear about Candace later on in my story because we do meet again in prison. So Candace was, a good sponsor. She had like 5 years sober, I think, and she was killing it. She was doing really, really good. She had a nice house. She had a good job. She was waiting tables at this place down the street called Rocky's Corner. It was best pizza in Hot Springs. Really good pizza. And so she helped me. I started working the steps with her. I was calling her every day. I got a job working at this Mexican restaurant down the street from where she was working. She was working at Rocky's, and I got a job working at Colorado Grill, the Mexican restaurant. And I was making good money there. While I was there at Colorado Grill, I met one of my sister's friends who sold methadone pills. And guess what ended up happening, you guys? I relapsed. Scott relapsed. We all relapsed. Me and Scott started making trips back and forth to Little Rock because we were coming up here to just kick it and get fucked up. I'm going to use this glitter. It's called Birthday Bitch. Birthday Bitch. And so we were just getting high out of our minds, you guys. We were fucking up bad. And so actually what happened is Scott just kind of stopped coming around, and he stopped like calling me, and I lost contact with him, which that happens whenever you're using drugs and alcohol, right? So this is about the time where I started getting and hanging out with the dope cooks here, and I ended up getting arrested for a felony possession of a controlled substance. So let me tell you about that. So I lost my job at Colorado Grill because I was getting high, and they knew it, and they could tell. I mean, they could tell. I was really, my performance from the way I started out waiting tables to the way I ended up because I was getting high, it's like I dramatically went downhill. And so they fired me, which rightfully so. And I thought, well, that's okay. I'll just get another job waiting tables. So I did. I got another job waiting tables at this place called Rolando's. And I've told you guys stories about Rolando's because, again, I would have like moments of sobriety where I would try to stop for a little bit and I would stop and then I would go back up off the deep end. And so every now and then I would get sober and then I would relapse. I would get sober and then I would relapse. I would get sober and then I would relapse. And so the one thing about Rolando's is they really believed in me. And so they promoted me and they let me run I was a head waitress, I was a head bartender. And so they let me kind of like have a position there where I was making really good tips and really good money. And I got to the point where I was shooting a bunch of cocaine and I was trying to like even it out by taking Xanax. And I ended up falling asleep outside in my car in the back seat on break. And they came out there and they found me. And they said, Nicole, and that's when they said, you got to get help, girl. You got to go to treatment. And so I didn't want to go to treatment, I didn't want to do anything. I ended up getting caught driving away from, I was at this guy's house. We picked up some dope and we left my sister's house, went and picked up this dope, went over to this house to drop it off. And after we left the house, the girls who we dropped the dope to called the police. They were CIs. They called the police and we were surrounded. We were driving down the street and they surrounded my vehicle. It was like 3 or 4 regular cop cars and 2 of those big black SUVs. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so right then I was like, fuck. I was really high. You guys. I was so high that I was just so high. When they pulled me over, they jumped in the front of my car. Homeboy was driving, Quincy was driving. They threw him out of the car, threw my car into park, and made me get out of the car, pulled their guns on me, made me get out of the car, spread eagle on the ground, screaming in my face, asking me, shit, where the dope was at. Where the dope was at, where was I hiding the dope? And I told him, I didn't have any dope. Well, I had a rig in my purse, okay? I had a needle with some dope in it in my purse, and they found that, and they charged me with possession. So we got arrested, and we went to jail, and I thought, damn, man, this is it. Like, I'm going to be in jail for a long time because I know my mom and dad ain't going to get me out because they were not going to come and get me out. But that guy that I had gotten arrested with was like, hey, girl, it's all good. Just hang tight. Call all these phone numbers. He gave me a list of phone numbers to call. And don't worry, I'll get you out with me. And I was like, okay, cool. And he did. He got me out with me. We were out of there within the hour. It wasn't too long. And we were back on the streets, y'all, getting high again. Like we never got arrested. And so that charge ended up really screwing up my whole life. I had a felony charge for a possession of a controlled substance, and now I couldn't get a job nowhere. Now people knew. I made the front page of the paper. My mom and dad were humiliated. Everybody in my town knew that I was on drugs, even though a lot of them already did know, but now everybody knew because it was on the front page of the damn newspaper. So what am I going to do now? I'm on probation. They put me on probation. The dude that I ended up getting caught with ran. He never came back, and I've never seen him again since. He disappeared. I don't even know where he's at. He disappeared off the face of the earth, you guys. Like that dude, he went MIA. He went MIA. So after that happened, I was on probation, and so I had to like try to do good, right? I was trying to stay sober the best I knew how, which was I didn't know how to stay sober. I didn't even know how to try and stay sober, you guys. And so that that year I was on probation, I failed every single drug screen. Every drug screen my probation officer would give me, I would come in and I would tell her, I'm going to fail. I've done this, this, and this. And so she didn't care. She was going to make me take that drug test no matter what. And so I would take the drug test and I would fail. And then, so finally, I got it. Like, you need to go to treatment. Like, you got to do something, Nicole, because if you don't, you're going to ruin your life. She didn't like me, but she hated me because I was probably the bane of her existence. I probably was one of the only people that wasn't getting sober. Maybe all the other people were getting sober. I don't know, but they didn't give me classes or like try to help me to learn how to stay sober or suggest anything like that. They just like put me on probation and made me take drug screens. There was nothing helpful about it at all. And so I failed miserably. Okay. All right. Moving forward. I failed enough drug screens to where she was like, you know what? Screw you. You're going to rehab. And I was just like, damn, another rehab. This is my second rehab now. It's called South Arkansas Substance Abuse in El Dorado, Arkansas. It wasn't too bad of a place. It wasn't as nice as the first one I went to. It was more like ghetto fabulous. But the best thing about this place was they had a litter of basset hounds. Okay. They had a litter of basset hounds, two, a mama and a daddy basset hound, and then a whole litter of little babies. And we had to take care of them, the patients that were in the treatment center. And it was so awesome, you guys. These little dogs made the whole treatment center they made the whole experience so much fun. I loved waking up and going to feed those little dogs and play with those little dogs. Now, when I got there, I was in pretty bad shape, okay? I had been abusing methadone and lots of opiates. So this was the first time I ever went to treatment and experienced like a really, really intense opiate withdrawal. In fact, I don't think I had really experienced opiate withdrawal up until this point. This is the first time that I have been sick, okay? I was sick as a dog up in that treatment center, you guys. They had me in detox for 6 days, and I shit and pissed all over myself because of my withdrawals. They were out of control. So they looked over me. Of course, they gave me fluids and all that stuff to make sure that I was okay. And I was crying. I was missing my mom. I was scared because I'd never really gone through opiate withdrawal like this. I didn't know what it was supposed to be like, and I was scared. I knew that's when I realized, like, damn, it's like I'm on heroin. It's what I see in the movies, because I had watched all these shows like Gia and Basketball Diaries, where these people kick heroin, but I was just like, oh, well, that's not me. I'm not like that, You guys, this was the moment where I realized, yeah, girl, you are like that. You are a junkie, even though. So I was sick. I was sick and I was crying and I was sick all over the place. I felt so bad. I was apologizing all over myself to the lady that was coming in and cleaning it up, because it was disgusting. It was disgusting. I wouldn't wish that on my worst neighbor. Okay. And so I ended up, of course, getting assigned to the kitchen to do work in the kitchen. So I made breakfast for everybody, and I would see my counselor 2 or 3 times a week, I think. And I was learning a lot. I was learning about recovery. I was doing well in my little recovery classes. We would have group recovery classes. I never got in any trouble. That's one thing that you're going to hear from me a lot, is that I never got into any trouble. I was always very well behaved in treatment. I was always like wanting to make the change and wanting to be sober when I went in. I didn't waste their time and like give them hell. Well, I met this girl in there. Her name was Elsie, and we became so close, you guys. Like, I remember her, and we had the best time. I would meet people in treatment and make such good friends every single time I went into treatment. So me and Elsie became really good friends, and one day we were outside playing volleyball, and she fell and broke her ankle. And I remember, oh my God, is she okay? Like, that's my friend. I got to go get her. So I ran over there and I picked her up and I carried her inside, and we took her. She went to the emergency room and she had to get a casting on her leg, and she had broke her ankle. So from that day forward, I had to carry her everywhere. Basically, I carried her wherever we went, and I would have to take showers with her to help her take a shower. I would wash her. I would help her wash herself and help her stand up in the shower so she didn't fall over. And I was just like, that's how I've always been. Now you see, now this is all the people that I would like link up with. I would try to help them and save them and do all these things for them, right? And so in the meantime, what is that doing? While I'm helping them and I'm paying attention to all the stuff that they need to help with, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not paying attention to what I need to do to take care of myself. And so this is something that I did all the time, you guys. I would always find somebody else to focus on and help, so that way I didn't have to focus on myself. Now, I don't know if I was intentionally doing that, but I know that it was my MO. It was something that I did. Everybody knew I did it. They probably told everybody when I came in the treatment center, hey, watch out for this girl. She'll make friends with everybody, and then she's going to try and help everybody instead of helping herself, right? I mean, that's just what it was. That's what I would do. And so, of course, now that LC broke her ankle, I'm not really focused on my recovery anymore. I'm too busy trying to make sure that she can get here and there and everywhere. And so I lost my focus. I lost my drive, not blaming her because it wasn't her fault at all. It was my fault. It was something that I would do subconsciously and not even think about that I was doing it. So anyway, my counselor, it was time for me to graduate. I had done so well that they wanted to offer me to live in the halfway house there in El Dorado. Now, for those of you guys that don't understand, El Dorado is like 3.5, 4 hours, away from where I was living in Little Rock, or in Hot Springs with my mom and dad. And so I had never been moved away from them that far, And so that was something that I was just like, I don't know if I can do that, blah, 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 blah. And so instead of taking their advice and moving into the halfway house, I went ahead and I went home. And do you guys know what happened when I went home? I relapsed. New visitor. Duh. I mean, what do you think? I relapsed and got back on dope and was back at it again. So now I have this whole problem. I need to pass these drug tests, because if I'm not passing these drug tests, I'm going to go to prison, right? And so I got this bright idea that I would go to the store or go to the doctor. There was a script doctor in our town, and I would get a prescription of Klonopin, so that way I can at least take benzos and pass my drug screens, right? Wrong. I got that prescription, and you know what my probation officer said? Okay, you want to have that prescription? I want you to bring me the bottle, and I'm going to count them to make sure you're only taking one a day as prescribed. Hot damn! Now what am I going to do? I'm surely not taking one a day. In fact, I don't even have any for you to count. I've done ran out of all of them. They're gone, So I brought in the empty bottle filled with fake pills and tried to pass it off as Klonopins. Oh, hell no. That pissed her off bad. So she said, you know what? I'm done fooling with you. You're going to prison. Oh, shit. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, you guys. So I said, okay. And I went on the run. What I mean by the run is my court date was like in November, so it was like set 3 days out. And when I would go to court is when I would be sentenced and they would take me away. So what I did was I left my mom and dad's house and I just started staying with different people, getting high as I could until I had to go to court in November. So I stayed high. I mean, I was out of my mind, you guys. At this time, I was doing all kinds of felonious shit. I was going into Walmart with the dope cook, buying heat and lye, shucking matches all night long to make dope. That's what I was doing. I was the assistant cook. And so I was just sitting there, doing everything that dope cook told me to do so that way I could get my free dope at the end of the night. Because here's the thing, you guys, I'm not ever going to come on here and act like I was some big baller, shot caller, or anything like that. I simply use drugs for personal reasons. I didn't use drugs to sell to anybody, and I didn't give a damn. I was not going to sell you drugs. No, I'm going to use all of them. That's what I'm going to do. Okay? And so I'm not, like, when I hear people tell stories and they say stuff like they were doing this, that, and the third, sometimes I have to look at them a little bit different because I'm like, were you really? Because this is how I think about it. If you're an addict and you're using drugs, okay, how the hell are you selling them and making any kind of money? How are you selling them and making money and not getting high on your own supply? Everybody knows that you don't get high on your own supply, right? So we were cooking that shit up. I mean, cooking, y'all. I'm talking to where it was crazy, y'all. It was so crazy. And listen to this. This is how brave and out of our minds we were. There was a cop that lived across the street, and the road that we lived down was a dead end road. And so it was like a turnaround, there was only one way in and one way out. And so every night you would see smoke just billowing out of that trailer. He would do part of it inside the trailer, and then he would go gas it off out in the shed, and smoke would just be. Okay, it was bad. It was bad. And so we would be in there, and then after it would be done, it was like, whoo, mercy. So they ended up coming to get me, or I ended up, no, they didn't come and get me. I ended up going to prison. I went in November to my court date, and I had on a black pea coat, and in my pocket of my pea coat, I had like 5 or 6 bars, okay? And so I walked in that fucking courtroom, and I ate those bars. I mean, she said, all right, Nicole DeMeo, you're going away. Oop, and I ate those bars, and they took me, and they put me in shackles and handcuffed me and took all my belongings. And I called my mama when I got to the jailhouse, and I said, Mama, I'm putting my keys in my keys are in the gas tank compartment. Come and get my car. I'm going down. And so I went down. I was in county jail for about 60 to 90 days. I can't remember exactly how long. And I was in prison for about 11 months, almost a year. Not quite a year in the prison, not quite a year. I know that's not a long time, especially if you've done years in the pen. But it was long enough for me to realize that I didn't want to ever go back there. So I learned that really quick. Now, when I got to prison, you guys, y'all know how social I am. It wasn't nothing but a thing. I was talking to everybody. When I first got there, I was scared. I'm not going to lie. When I first got there, I was scared out of my mind because they put me in the shower with 2 Big old giant bitches. I'm talking these girls had to weigh 450 a piece. 450 a piece, okay? They put me in, I was like a $120, y'all. In between these girls, butt naked, getting deloused, spraying that louse stuff on us. And so I was just like shaking in my boots because I was thinking, these girls are big. What are they going to do to me? What are they going to do? They're going to do something to me. I just know they are. Well, they weren't. And those girls, some of those girls ended up becoming some of my best good friends when I was in there. I can remember one of them, her name was Christy. And she called herself Christy G, Miss Georgia Peach. And we became tight. We were in a unit together. We did we marched together because everywhere we went, we had to march in a deuce. Okay. So this was like a boot camp style prison where everything was military. Okay. Everything you did was the military. All right. It wasn't hard at all. Yeah, you have heard this part before. It wasn't like a scary experience. Now it was at the beginning because I was in between those big old girls. And you guys, they were sweet girls too. They weren't mean girls, but they were two big black girls, and I was a little cracked out Mexican girl. And so I was just like scared for my life. I remember they gave me my ADC number, and I think it's 754077. If I remember correctly, inmate number 754077. I think that's what it was. Let me look. Arkansas inmate 754077. I don't know. I can't even find my old you guys, I can't even find my old mug shots. Like I can't find them anywhere. Yep, that cough. I see y'all talking. Did you really, Danielle? Say my sister did time in juvenile, and she never got into jail when we got older. But anyway, it wasn't like I was a bad kid, you guys. That's the thing that we need to understand here, all right? I wasn't bad. I was addict, you know? And when you have somebody that has a drug addiction and you don't give them treatment, you just punish them with jail time, they're not going to get better. You know, they're only going to continue to get worse and not learn how to stay sober. You know, it's really important to teach and help somebody learn how to stay sober. And so that's why, let me turn the light. Okay. It's really important to teach somebody and help them with their addiction instead of arresting them, you know? But this is what we're going to do. I'm going to sign off, and I just wanted to chat with you guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to go and we're going to do a patron only, patrons and members. So let me get you guys the link, patrons and members. Let's do it together. So that way we can just chit chat and get to know each other. For those of you guys that are not part of my Patreon or my membership, go ahead and join if you want to join us. Patreon.com/Real Talk Recovery. Anybody is welcome to join us. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Captain. Listen, you guys, my membership on my Patreon is $2. Okay, so if you want to join Patreon and come join us for our live stream, come on over and join. Also, So I'm kicking you out. Hitman, you're not kicked out. I'm ending this live stream. But there's that one for $2, and then I have the membership for $1.99. So either one, you guys, if you join it and I see that you joined, I'll add you to our live stream if you guys want to come and join us. So please nobody get upset and say, oh my gosh, you're only doing this for the money, or you're only doing this. That's not true. Okay, I do live streams every single day on my channel for free. Okay. Yes, Aaron, if you're a member and you're not a Patreon, listen, I am going to share the link on the community tab with members only. Hey, Gertrude, I am a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. Welcome to the channel. I was just actually telling the story of my life, basically, and we were doing makeup. Doing makeup and talking about my life story. Yes, I was an everything addict, a poly drug addict. So I hope you're having a great day. And I guess you stumbled upon our channel by accident, but that's okay. Welcome to the family. If you want to stick and stay, you can. But if you don't, I understand. So yeah, all my members, listen up. I am going to link the link to our live in the community tab. So it will be up there in about 7 minutes. All right. Yes, Dr. B will be on it'll be 4 o'clock my time. It'll be 4 o'clock his time, but 6 o'clock my time. So Dr. B will be on in 2.5 hours, you guys. So if y'all want to come and ask questions and talk with Dr. B, join me over on his channel in 2.5 hours. I will also link his channel below this video once I upload it, okay? Okay. All right, you guys. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see all my members and my patrons in about 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. $4 p.m. PST. So it'll be 6 p.m. my time. 4 p.m. your time, Misty. So yes, thank you, Mark, so much. 4 p.m. PST. That's what time he's going live.